The internet we use every day, Google, YouTube, social media is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies the deep web, and even further down, the dark web. It's a place notorious for its anonymity, a digital Wild West where anything can happen. Today, we're diving into the shadows to explore 3 unsettling stories that are said to have originated from the darkest corners of the internet. Are they real? Are they urban legends? That's for you to decide. But a word of caution, the stories you're about to hear are not for the faint of heart. Our first story is about a programmer named Daniel. He was a curious guy, always pushing the boundaries of what he could do online. One night, he decided to venture onto the dark web, not for anything illegal, but purely out of technical curiosity. He downloaded the Tor browser, took all the necessary security precautions, and started exploring. He found forums, marketplaces, and chat rooms, most of which were exactly as grim as the rumors suggested. But then he stumbled upon something different, a website with a simple, minimalist design. It was called The Human Experiment. The site claimed to be a live streaming service, but there were no categories, no search bar, just a single video player and a chat box. The stream was of a person in a plain, white room. The person was just sitting there, not doing much. Daniel thought it was some kind of bizarre art project. The chat box was full of cryptic messages and what looked like commands. Someone typed "wave left hand." A few seconds later, the person on screen slowly raised their left hand and waved. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. He typed "stand on one leg" into the chat. And to his horror, the person in the video struggled to their feet and stood on one leg. It became terrifyingly clear what this was. The viewers were controlling a real person. Daniel felt sick. He quickly closed the browser, his hands shaking. But the image of that person, their vacant eyes following unseen commands, was burned into his memory. He reported what he saw to the authorities, providing them with the little information he had. He never found out what happened to the person in the video or the website. The experience left a permanent scar on him. It was a chilling reminder that behind the screen, there are real people, and sometimes, the anonymity of the web can bring out the absolute worst in humanity. Daniel never went back to the dark web, haunted by the question of what other experiments were being conducted in its hidden recesses. Next, we have a story that serves as a cautionary tale about buying things online, especially from untrusted sources. This one comes from a user on a forum who we'll call Mark. Mark was a collector of oddities and antiques. He'd spend hours scrolling through online marketplaces, looking for unique items. One day, while browsing a regular clearnet auction site, he found a listing for a mystery box from the dark web. The seller claimed the box contained rare and unusual items sourced from exclusive, hidden markets. The price was steep, but Mark's curiosity got the better of him. He paid using cryptocurrency, as the seller requested, and a few weeks later, a plain and marked wooden crate arrived at his doorstep. It was heavy, and it smelled faintly of dust and something else he couldn't quite place, something metallic and sweet. He pried it open with a crowbar. Inside, nestled in straw, were several objects. There was an old, leather-bound diary filled with strange symbols and frantic, unreadable handwriting. There was a vintage-looking music box that, when opened, played a discordant, unsettling melody that made the hairs on his arms stand up. There was also a small, ornate silver locket. But the strangest item was a child's doll. It was old, with a porcelain face, cracked in several places, and one of its glass eyes was missing. Mark displayed the items on a shelf in his study. That night, he started hearing noises. Faint scratching sounds coming from the study. He brushed it off as the house settling. The next night, he heard the faint, discordant tune of the music box, even though he was certain he had closed it. He went to check, and the lid was open. He started feeling a constant sense of being watched. His pets, a cat and a dog, refused to go near the study anymore. They would just stand at the doorway and hiss or growl. The real terror began when he noticed the doll. He swore its position on the shelf would change. One day, he'd leave it facing forward, and when he returned, its head would be slightly turned, as if looking at the door. One morning, he walked into the study to find the doll on the floor, far from the shelf, its single glass eye staring right at him. That was the last straw. Mark packed everything back into the crate. He didn't want to sell it and pass this nightmare on to someone else. So, he drove out to a remote forest, dug a deep hole, and buried the entire crate, doll and all. He never bought another mystery box again. The story is a stark warning: you never truly know the history or the energy attached to the things you bring into your home. Our final story is perhaps the most famous and widely circulated dark web legend. It's the story of Sad Satan. In 2015, a popular YouTube channel that focused on horror games received a link from a subscriber. The link, accessible only through the Tor network, led to a game file. The subscriber claimed they found it on a deep web forum and were too scared to play it. The YouTuber, intrigued, downloaded the game, which was titled Sad Satan. What followed was one of the most disturbing gaming experiences ever recorded. The game wasn't really a game in the traditional sense. It was a walking simulator through a series of dark, maze-like corridors. There was no objective, no enemies to fight. The horror came from the atmosphere. The visuals were glitchy and distorted. The soundtrack was a horrifying mix of distorted audio clips, reverse speeches, and what sounded like tortured screams. As the player navigated the bleak hallways, unsettling images would flash on the screen for a split second. These images were reportedly of graphic violence and abuse. The game also featured audio clips from interviews with infamous historical figures and criminals. The most unnerving part was that the game seemed to be more than just a file on a computer. The YouTuber reported that while he was playing, text files with threatening and cryptic messages started appearing on his desktop. His computer began to act erratically even after he stopped playing and deleted the file. The original game file was said to contain malware and disturbing, illegal content embedded within it. The version that later circulated online was supposedly a clean version, with the most harmful material removed by the YouTuber. But the mystery remains. Who created Sad Satan? Was it just a very disturbed developer trying to create the most terrifying horror experience possible? Or was it something more sinister? A digital Trojan horse designed to deliver malicious code and deeply disturbing content directly to a user's computer. The true origin and purpose of Sad Satan are still debated, making it a modern ghost story for the digital age, a piece of software that seems to be genuinely haunted. These stories, whether they're factual accounts or elaborate hoaxes, tap into our collective fear of the unknown. The dark web is a real place, but it has also become a modern-day folklore generator, a dark forest in our digital world where our worst fears can take shape. It reminds us that while the internet connects us in amazing ways, it also has shadows where caution and skepticism are our best guides. Stay safe out there, and maybe stick to the well-lit parts of the web. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the dark side of the internet. If you found these stories as chilling as I did, make sure to hit that like button. And if you have any thoughts or your own unsettling online experiences to share, drop them in the comments below or read all of them. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the mysterious and unexplained. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.